Welcome to Rome, where your first memory isn't of your mother's smile or your childhood home. It's the metallic taste of a slave collar and some fat merchant poking your muscles like you're a prize cow at auction. Congratulations, you've just been selected for the Empire's most brutal career path, where entry-level position means probably going to die. And your retirement plan is a wooden sword, if you're lucky. That noise you hear? That's 50,000 Romans deciding whether you live or die. Like a deadly version of those modern talent shows. Except here, getting voted off early means exactly what you think it means. And unlike those shows, you can't even choose your audition piece. Your new home is the Ludus. Think of it as the world's worst boarding school, where the cafeteria only serves beans, the gym coach is trying to kill you, and graduation means fighting a guy with a fishing net who's way too excited about his job. The good news? You get 3 meals a day. The bad news? They're all beans. Welcome to the glamorous life of a slave gladiator, where even the medical care is a mixed blessing. Sure, you got the best doctors in Rome, but trust me, you're going to need them. Oh, and that sound? That's your new alarm clock. Because in this career path, hitting snooze isn't an option, unless you want to hit the afterlife instead. Your first lesson in gladiator school? The only thing worse than dying in the arena is disappointing your lanista, the charming fellow who owns you and runs this delightful establishment. At least in the arena, death is quick. But hey, look on the bright side. You're about to become famous. Sure, it's because people are betting on whether you'll survive your next fight, but in a world without Instagram, you take what you can get. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next Spartacus. Just maybe don't mention that name around the guards. They're still a bit sensitive about the whole rebellion thing. Welcome to the Ludus, your new home sweet hellhole. First order of business, taking the gladiator's oath, which basically goes, I solemnly swear to be burned, chained, beaten, and killed by the sword. Not exactly the Hogwarts sorting ceremony, is it? And unlike other schools, dropping out involves a lot more actual dropping, usually from sword wounds. Your daily routine starts at dawn, where you and your fellow students practice hitting wooden posts until your arms feel like overcooked pasta. The trainer, calling him a teacher would be way too generous, helpfully demonstrates proper sword technique by occasionally trying to kill you. Think of it as pop quiz, where failing means, well, actually failing to pop ever again. Remember those 3 meals a day I mentioned? Here's your gourmet menu. Morning, beans and barley. Noon, barley and beans. Evening, surprise, more beans. They say it builds muscle. Really, it just builds an impressive amount of gas in the barracks. Nothing says fearsome warrior quite like crop dusting your way through training. Now for the fun part, choosing your fighting style. Except you don't choose, your lanista does. Maybe you'll be a Murmillo, wearing a helmet that makes your head look like a fish. Very intimidating. Or perhaps a Retiarius, the guy with the net and trident who basically does deadly fishing. There's also the Thraex, who fights with a tiny shield and curved sword, because apparently regular sword fighting isn't challenging enough. Each style comes with its own special way of getting hurt. The Murmillo's helmet might protect your head, but it also means you can't see that mace coming for your kneecaps. The Retiarius gets the joy of fighting practically naked. Hope you didn't skip leg day. And the Thraex, that curved sword is great for getting around shields, but try blocking a straight thrust with it. Spoiler alert, you can't. At least the medical care is top notch. The bone setter knows you by name. The wound stitcher saves your favorite cod. And the herb guy has his special poultice ready just for you. It's like having a personal healthcare plan, except you have to get stabbed to use it. Remember your first day of school? This is worse. The arena gates open and suddenly you're squinting in the sunlight like a mole who took a wrong turn. Except this mole is wearing 30 pounds of armor and carrying a sword that feels suspiciously heavier than the wooden one you trained with. Fun fact, that's actual fear adding the extra weight. The crowd's already picked their favorite. And spoiler alert, it's probably not you, newbie. They've got this sophisticated voting system for whether you live or die. Thumbs up means you live. Thumbs down means, well, let's just say you won't need to worry about tomorrow's bean ration. It's like social media, but instead of getting canceled, you get canceled permanently. Your first opponent is probably another rookie. The Lanisas aren't complete idiots. They've invested too much in your training to throw you straight to the lions. Although sometimes they do exactly that. Because apparently regular sword fighting isn't entertaining enough. Nothing adds excitement to your day quite like a hungry tiger using your shield as a chew toy. Different matches require different survival strategies. Fighting a Retiarius? Watch out for that net. It's not just for show, and getting tangled up makes you look like a fish flopping around at a market. Facing a Thraex? keep your distance. That curved sword can hook around your shield and ruin your whole day. And if you're up against a Murmillo, just remember, that fishbowl helmet limits their vision. Too bad they make up for it by hitting like an angry rhinoceros. The reality of injuries, they hurt a lot. And they're creative too. You haven't lived until you've had the medicus pop your shoulder back in while giving you a lecture about proper shield positioning. If you just let your guard up, he says, jamming herbs into your wound, I wouldn't have to keep stitching you up like your mother's favorite toga. But here's the real trick to survival: entertainment. The crowd doesn't just want blood, they want a show. Make them laugh, give them drama, become their favorite, and you might just survive even if you lose. Think of it as Rome's Got Talent, where the prize is staying alive and the consolation prize is, well, let's keep it positive. At least the beans in the afterlife can't be worse than the ones in the Ludus. Congratulations, you've survived long enough to become famous. Your face is on clay pots. Kids play with little wooden dolls of you, and rich women swoon when you walk by. You're basically a Roman rock star, except you still sleep in a cell and your manager owns you. Literally. The really weird part? People collect your sweat. No, seriously, they scrape it off with these little curved sticks and put it in bottles to sell as souvenirs or love potions. Nothing says I'm a celebrity quite like strangers bottling your body fluids. Take that, modern influencers, with your mere sponsored posts. Back at the Ludus, you've got your Gladiator family. Emphasis on got because you don't exactly have a choice. There's old Marcus, who won't shut up about his glory days. Young Brutus, who's definitely not living up to his name. Seriously, the kid apologizes to training dummies. And that weird guy who talks to his sword. But they're your brothers in arms. Literally, because you might have to fight them tomorrow. Then there's the groupies. Noble women send you love notes, which would be flattering if you could read. They show up at training to watch you exercise, fan themselves dramatically, and pretend the smell of sweaty gladiators and beans is somehow arousing. Pro tip, never mention the beans when they're around. Really kills the mysterious warrior vibe. Politics in the arena is its own special game. The emperor's watching, the wealthy patrons are plotting, and somehow your life becomes a betting chip in their power plays. One day you're fighting your heart out, the next you're told to lose dramatically because some senator bet against you. At least make it look good. You're not just fighting for your life anymore, you're performing for your dinner. And yes, dinner is still beans. The sacred wooden sword, the Ludus. Your ticket to freedom looks like a practice weapon, which is Rome's way of having one final laugh at your expense. But hey, beats the alternative with an accessory, the coffin. There are three main ways to get one: survive long enough, win enough, or make the crowd love you enough. Simple, right? Just like avoiding death is simple. Some guys actually made it. Take Spartacus. Fought so well that Emperor Nero gave him palaces and treated him like a son. Though given what happened to Nero's actual family, maybe that wasn't the best deal. Then there's Marcus Attilius. He started as a free man, went broke, became a gladiator, and won enough fights to earn his freedom again. Talk about a career change. But for every success story, there's a dozen failures. Remember that guy who won 99 fights then lost his 100th? Neither does anyone else. That's the thing about arena fame. It's great until it isn't. One bad day, one slow dodge, one missed block, and suddenly you're that cautionary tale the trainers tell the rookies. Here's the thing about being a slave gladiator that nobody tells you. It teaches you something about what matters. Not the fame, not the clay pots with your face on them, not even the swooning noble women. What matters is how you face each day, each fight, each moment when the gates open. Because in the end, true freedom isn't just about getting that wooden sword. It's about finding the courage to keep standing up when life knocks you down. About maintaining your humanity when the world treats you like a commodity. Maybe that's why some of us choose to keep fighting even after getting our freedom. Not for the roar of the crowd or the thrill of victory, but because we've learned something that comfortable citizens never will. That sometimes the greatest triumph isn't in winning the fight, but in choosing which battles are worth fighting for. Though let's be honest, choosing better meals than beans is definitely still high on the priority list.